Alright, this video was going to initially be a kind of update, quick little progress report on my Doryani's prototype Smite Slayer build from the last one where I had just uploaded after I got into maps and was kind of doing basic stuff. But characters progressed a lot quicker than I thought, and it's been going really well. So kind of figured I would just do the full like build overview and just kind of cover all the things instead, since we've progressed quite quickly and I'm almost kind of at the point of having all the items that I want for my initial more min-max setup. But to start it off, let's get some gameplay. I have a fortress map, not really any mods on it other than it does have 50% attack block, which I can just click this mastery so that they can't block my attacks. Just kind of show the build off. This build is one of the most surprising builds that I've done in a while. Like, I planned it out before making it and I was like, oh, it looks pretty good. And it's kind of just exceeded expectations in like almost every way, which is awesome. And there's still like a lot of room to grow on it even from now. But it just owns. And so it'll probably excel in stuff like T17 maps, though it shouldn't have any problem doing any Uber bosses or any of that either. As far as like a melee build goes, it's probably got about as much clear as you can want out of a melee build. Single target's really high. Defenses are very high. The gear crafting progression is very satisfying. My most recent upgrade was getting the absolutely insane kind of dream amulet, which I knew I could make, but I didn't think I'd have it at this point. I thought it'd take a bit longer. Clear out this detonate box, which is it's a simplex amulet with basically 2 positive mods and 1 negative mod, but the 1 negative mod being for Doryani's prototype is also a positive mod, so it's essentially just an insane simplex amulet. From this point, I still need to get a few more upgrades. I want to run Wrath Aura, but I need a little bit more mana reservation to do that. And then I need a couple more suppression tattoos. Like, after that, I think I'm pretty much good to go. Other than if I pursue a super even more expensive min-max setup with like a Mage Blood. But you see, this boss has, what, a bunch of life as a yes, so it'll take a second to burn through his energy shield, but after that, should make pretty quick work of him. Yeah. Damage is quite high. And as long as we're hitting mobs, we're not really too worried about incoming damage other than like really high one-shot damage type stuff. But like obviously detonate dead type abilities and all that'll still get you. But otherwise the clear is just leaping around. You hit smite, most of the stuff dies. The one thing, it won't ever be like fully just one button wipes the entire screen every time. Well, except for Vol Smite. Vol Smite kind of just wipes the screen. But due to the nature of volatility support, sometimes you'll just roll really low damage on a mob and it just won't die. Even when the DPS is like this crazy. I think that's about enough. That kind of shows it off, how it plays. I will jump into POB, I guess, and kind of cover what's going on here. Alright, get out of there. Pop open the POB. So it's a Doryani's prototype build, which is body armor where enemies' lightning res is equal to yours. So you want low lightning res, negative lightning res. It also has lightning res does not affect lightning damage from hits. So basically when you're taking damage, it's treating your lightning res as 0, even if you're at something like negative 160. It also has armor applies to lightning damage taken from hits, which helps, mitigate at least a bit extra on the hit portions. And then it says deal no non-lightning damage, so you have to be a lightning damage build, or like a summoner or something for it. And so basically this can give us a huge damage boost if we have negative lightning res, but then we're just going to die to lightning damage, so we have to solve that. And the way that I'm solving it is with Lethal Pride, Tempered by War, which gives 50% cold and lightning taken as fire damage. It also has 50% less cold and less lightning res, which is actually kind of bad for us because when you're negative lightning res, less lightning means you're also less negative. So if I unclick this node, you can see I go to negative 200, which is the cap. Basically, it's cutting it in half. So I would be at like negative 300 if there was no cap and I didn't have the keystone. But we can get so negative anyway that the downside's not too much of an issue. It makes it hard to cap our cold res, but our cold res is also being taken as fire. So we're not really too concerned about that. But so this gives us 50% cold and lightning taken as fire. Watcher's Eye gives another 20%, and then Dawnbreaker can give up to another 20% on each, for a total of 90% cold and lightning taken as fire. So we can mostly just ignore, worrying about taking cold and lightning, because it's just extra fire damage being taken. So everything's just as fire. And that's kind of the core setup to get it rolling. Other than that, for like unique items, I have Aventur's Gamble, which is just really good value in terms of the stats it provides, and you can get ones with negative lightning res that generally would be a downside and kind of makes them cheaper. On jewels, the only other unique is Ancestral Vision for ailment avoidance. You get 50% ailment avoidance on boots, and then the other half from the jewel when you get suppression capped. And yeah, that's it for the uniques. Before I go to the rest of the gear, I'll jump through the skills really quickly. We've got our Vol Smite. Level 21 is actually pretty important, so a 2120 Vol Smite from Temple Double Corruptions is pretty key once you start getting into like min-maxing. Wakened Added Lightning, really good. Flat Lightning, +1 gems. Volatility, because we're lightning damage, our minimum is super low. And this boosts our maximum really high. So you can see, just from like the actual DPS it adds, it says 52% more DPS. But it's kind of more beyond that in terms of at least just raw DPS outputs. Because having such a higher max hit means we can shock for more. It means we can stun. I literally stunned Elder out of doing his like expanding circle attack. He was just mid animation. I stunned him. That was cool. So yeah, really good gem. Awakened elemental damage with attacks. Just high multiplier. This has Ellie damage from skills can't be reflected, but I still can't run Ellie reflect maps unless I was to also like get my Frost Blink probably and Leap Slam linked to setups where they dealt no Ellie damage. So the Ellie reflect I'm not really worried about. It's a good multiplier. Inspiration is giving us damage and crit chance and lowering our costs. So I was able to get rid of life tap and I have a mana cost of 1. Need at least 1 for inspiration or else you don't get stacks. And then I have Fortify, which is pretty low multiplier, but it gets us our fortification, which saves us 4 points from getting it like over here. Essentially, the points you save makes up for the lower damage multiplier on Fortify support, so it ends up being really solid still. And then here I've got my auras in the helmet. The helmet is kind of just some life and res and stuff. It does have mana reservation efficiency from an essence, and then +2 AoE from Unveil, which lets us get our Purity of Fire up to 23, which gives +1 extra max fire. It also gives extra levels to Determine Wrath, which scale really well with levels. We have Assassin's Mark with Mark on Hit, and a Frostblink. A lot of these are going to be linked to Life Tap because we don't have very much mana open. And anything that costs more than like, I don't know, 5 or 6 mana, kind of just want to have Life Tap so it's going off consistently. And because we have gem space to do it. Boots, we have our Leap Slam, faster attacks, and momentum. The momentum's probably not necessary, but didn't really have anything else to put there. Enduring Cry is mostly just for hitting on bosses to get endurance charges on boss fights. And then in the weapon, I have my Blood Rage, just attack speed for mapping and better Frenzy Charge generation on kill. We already have some Frenzy Charge generation on kill, so it's not like too important for that, but you know, it's just free attack speed essentially. And then a level 1 Precision with Arrogance, which this plus the Wrath plus the next thing over here with Blood and Sand I don't have yet. That's kind of what I'm working towards, but everything else kind of holds in. And then the final gem bits is a cast damage taken Molten Shell. And like I just showed, that Blood and Sand. Blood and Sand doesn't give a ton of damage for Smite because it gives area damage. So in my full DPS, I have 2 Smites essentially. That's why there's a second Smite down here. One is counting the melee hit, one's counting the area hit. If you stand next to a boss at the right distance, like just a little couple steps away, and you actually aim off to the side so that you hit the boss with your AoE splash, you get your Ancestral Call clone to hit them with the melee. So you get 1 splash and 1 melee. This top one here is the melee and the bottom one's the splash. Even with Blood and Sand giving a bunch more area damage, the melee portion is considerably higher in just how much of the damage it's doing. So Blood and Sand doesn't add like a ton of damage, but there wasn't much else to put. And also you can get some AoE on it while you're clearing, which with how high the damage is, it should be nice to just get some more AoE. I think it'll go quite well. The gear, we've got a rare elegant foil. This one doesn't show it, but mine has fractured lat lightning damage. That's kind of like necessary to realistically craft it. And then it was just spamming attack speed essences until I got one of the 2 crit mods, and then locking suffix and reforging crit to try to get the other one. And once you have the suffixes done, you can just do a lock suffix veiled orb. Mine currently has Elipen, which is good, but percent lightning is better. It's also way more annoying to get, because when you unveil for pen, you get it every time as long as you blocked physical damage. Whereas the lightning damage shares with all the other percent mods. It's like a 1 in 10 or something. If you get it, fantastic. Otherwise, pen is good until you're like just out of things to waste your currency on. Like I showed, the Shield's a Dawnbreaker. You really want the 20% lightning taken as fire, and probably I'd say 20% cold. If you've had one that was like 19 cold as fire, but it had like a really good physical taken as fire, like I think I saw one with 19 cold and 19 fizz and 20 lightning, I would say that would be really good too. But you know, you want them all high. But in order of priority, I would say it goes lightning and then cold and then fizz. Helmet I showed before. It's just got life and res, and mana reservation efficiency, and then the +2 unveil. Implicits I have fizz taken as fire and reduced mana cost of attacks. Until I get to the setup where I can actually run inspiration, I'm currently running life tap in my smite. The reduced mana cost of attacks part doesn't really matter. You could get like AoE or something. Body armor, Doryani's prototype, very at least affordable in hardcore. I don't know if they're the same as softcore, probably not like a super rare unique. Really good for double corrupting. So like I have right here, kind of what I would say is the 2 best corruptions. Reduced from crits is fantastic, and then any sort of good damage boost. +2 AoE, +2 aura. Both do wonders. +2 duration would also work. And then behind that, probably like percent damage or something, which is what mine has. Mine has percent damage and reduced from crits. Gloves, we've got implicit for 2 additional nearby enemies on strike skills, which is probably the most important part of the gloves. And then we're getting a bunch of our suppression from it, life and res. And then bench crafted damage while leeching is super valuable mod for Slayer, for just like being a bench craft that just basically gives you 43% increased damage on gloves is fantastic. Boots is more suppression, and then the other important thing here is ailment avoidance, which comes from Essences of Loathing. The suffix ailment avoidance plus the implicit ailment avoidance need to add up to at least 50 to combo with the Ancestral Vision Jewel to get to 100% total avoidance. And then the other implicit's the max fire res. If you can boost it up to +2, obviously the best. And you probably want move speed with Onslaught on kill as your movement speed, whether you unveil it or bench craft it. Either way is fine. Otherwise, you need to run like a Silver Flask or something for Onslaught. I like the boots right now for that. Amulet is the God Amulet, the Giga Amulet. insane amounts of life, insane amounts of crit multi, and just a huge minus res roll. Basically, you just get a simplex amulet, you roll it for crit multi until it hits one of those two life or res mods, and it could be fire or cold res because you can swap them. Generally, what happens is you press crit multi essences until you hit like a good res, and then you have to annul the prefix off, and then you can lock suffixes reforge life and just hope that you hit, you know, T1, maybe T2 life if you want to go for T2, and then you can Hinakora's lock before using a reflecting mist, and you can foresee the outcome. So you only ever have to get the amulet once and get it ready once, and then it's just a matter of how many Hinakora's locks it takes. It should be basically 3 on average because it's either going to make the crit multi negative, it's going to make the life negative, or it's going to make the lightning negative on one of the 2 split copies that you get. There's a chance that it makes all 3 positive, but that's like super rare. And I mean, if that did happen, I think you would probably just click that, and surely somebody would buy, if you're in Trade League at least, buy an amulet with, if you had these same stats but positive lightning res. Like maybe some lightning coil build that wants to get all their lightning res from one item. I don't know, but it's like a 1 in 3. You probably need like 3 locks on average. Moving on, Ring is also a self-crafted reflected mist item, but this one, no Hinakora's locks. Pretty cheap ring to get. It's just life, good int, good lightning res, and then I bench crafted minus cost, and then needed just 1 filler stat that I didn't care if it went negative. So in this case, it was a small ES roll, and I was looking for positive int, positive life, positive reduced cost, and then the minus lightning res. This one, the numbers could actually be quite a bit higher. The mists have a random multiplier when you use it, and it like flips the items and does all the weird stuff with the stats. It does a multiplier on the stats by like somewhere between 1.5 and 2.1, I think. And this one rolled pretty low on that, but still fantastic ring. Venter's Gamble again, just basically every stat being high is good. Mana reservation efficiency is pretty important. And then if you can get one with good negative lightning res, obviously that's great too. Belt, lots of life. I got a flat armor roll on mine, and then I'm using the belt for a lot of chaos res, and I also have strength int crafted here currently because if my ring had rolled higher on the multiplier, I wouldn't need the int from this, but I ended up also needing the strength because I grabbed a giant slayer helmet with a life fracture, not realizing how much strength it needs. It's worked out for me because I needed some int anyway, so the strength in it covers both bases. But if I had had enough int, I probably would be better off with a lower strength requirement helmet, and then I would be able to replace that craft entirely with like some resistances or something. Yeah, that basically covers the gear. We've also got a prismatic tincture. No investment really into it on the tree or anything. Just it's really good to press for burst, and the uptime you can, as long as you're attacking, it stays up for probably 15-20 seconds or even more. And I just put the melee weapon attack speed on it. And then for the prefix, either reduced mana burn rate, or there's one that gives even higher reduced mana burn rate, but it like lowers the effect slightly. But I think that one's also really good. Passive tree stuff, so cluster jewel, 1 cluster jewel setup. Have a large cluster. There's a few different large clusters you can use. I think sword and axe one was the easiest to hit the mods. The important mods are feed the fury and fuel the fight, the 2 leech ones. And then the third notable, any of them work really. Martial prowess, I think, maybe was the best, very, very slightly. And then 2 medium clusters, both just crit with basics of pain and pressure points. And as far as the rest of the tree goes, we're getting frenzy charges because of Slayer stuff. We have the Slayer node for max frenzy equals max endurance. I have impact for just AoE clear. This one's like not truly, like you don't need it. Probably the leech and the charge one are the 2 that are needed. The other ones you could kind of move around, but I think this is like the best. This might not be the most absolute damage from impact, but you have enough damage anyway, so AoE is just super good. And then Bane of Legends is really good. I might swap Bane of Legends at some point over to Endless Hunger for the stun immunity. And especially if I got a Corrupt Blood immunity jewel, this gives bleed immunity while leeching, and then if I had a Corrupt Blood jewel, I wouldn't need any sort of like bleed removal life flask, and maybe I could put on like a Worm Flask, because also when you get the Overkill leech from this node, Worm Flask is really good. But that's what I got currently. Other than the frenzies, We've got some damage here. This is just leeching and DPS. I have the Lethal Pride over here, and if you can get one that hits a lot of good stats on the notables, that's obviously really good. Reduced mana cost here is mostly to get the mastery for reservation efficiency. Suppression nodes, some sword crit, frenzy, and endurance charges. The minimum charges here are kind of whatever. The endurance charge on kill is nice. And then it's really like these stats per charge are really good. So like armor per endurance, AoE per endurance, damage per endurance, damage per frenzy, like movement speed per frenzy. We got some more crit stuff. One rage wheel, so we have our rage generation. And Veteran's Wrath in particular is really good because that inherent loss of rage starting 1 second later means you have a 2-second increase to a 3-second window where you can stop hitting before you lose your rage. The one armor mastery here for reduced damage from crits, and then just some more life. Barbarism for the 1 max fire, and some more crit damage stuff. And so with all that said, like I said, my character's not quite at this point. I am very, very close though. Need to get my helmet recrafted and a few tattoos, and I think that might be kind of it. But so this one is showing currently 63 million DPS, which is let's see, it does have always full life, but we have Slayer Leech, so for the most part that's true. Charges are, we can maintain them all even on bosses. We are fortified. This does have the rage fully ramped up, so you know, if it's like something you're bursting in 5 seconds, you're not going to be fully ramped, but whatever, you killed it in 5 seconds. We are leeching, and we are in blood stance. 50% shock on the enemy. You can see our shock effect. This lists near the bottom of it that we could shock a pinnacle boss for 54%, technically. But obviously 50 is the cap. We hit very hard. Our average damage says 7.6, and our top end is going to be way higher because of volatility. This doesn't have the killed recently stuff, which from the Slayer node. When you're doing like map bosses, especially when you can go straight into a unique, you also would have the killed recently ticked up, which is going to get you 10% more damage. Plus, I think it also is activating Onslaught from the boots. But yeah, damage super high. Max hits. This is without Molten Shell turned on. I think. Where's Molten Shell? Molten Shell's off. About 30,000 max fizz, and then 160,000 max fire, 120-ish on cold and lightning. Which is, these numbers are plenty to take on Uber bosses. And even more so for anything that's like cold or lightning damage on Uber bosses that comes with cold or lightning pen, because it's being taken as fire, it does very little damage. Like Shaper balls will do extremely low damage to this character because the bulk of their damage comes from the fact that they have really high cold pen. Yeah, I think I covered everything. This build owns. Big fan. And yeah. Play it. Play it now. Thanks for watching.